Welcome to the Allwired podcast. I'm your host, Logan Rodgers. With me, as always, is my producer, Bronc Gurtler, and our new co-host, Johnny Boy Doe.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And, well, today we're going to be talking about quite a few things. So the first thing I really want to talk about is this new Casey Anthony documentary that dropped on Peacock. And I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but
I've heard about it.
But, dude, it's so funny because she's been gone for so long, and she's making a comeback, and it's going to be a great-ass Casey Anthony Christmas, baby. Like, I mean, think about it. What are you're going to drop a Casey Anthony documentary right in the beginning of December? Like, of course I'm going to celebrate. It's a Casey Anthony Christmas. And, yeah, it's so funny to me, though, like, because I watched a little bit of it, and you can just see, like, how fake she is. Like, you can tell that she sat there just like reciting this and like getting herself used to it, so then that way when she was on camera, so she killed her kid. She left her kid in a car, and it ended up not being able to breathe, and it died. And no, this was a while ago. This was a long time ago. It was like a huge thing. It was like a huge thing, and then I didn't really know like a lot of details. I just knew that Casey Anthony was going to trial for killing her kid, whatever. And I heard that it was the hot car thing, you know, leaving all the windows up. I don't know if that's for sure, but what I do know for sure is so she lied about everything, dude. Like, her kid was missing for 31 days. This kid is like 5 years old, like maybe younger, and this kid's been missing for 31 days, and then now you report it to the police. That makes no fucking sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like, dude, my dog's missing for a couple hours, and I'm calling people. Like,
wait, she said, yeah, I haven't seen my daughter in how old daughter in how many days?
31 days.
Damn, and how old was it? How old was it?
I don't know for sure, but she's like, yeah, she's 2. Yeah, she's 2.
Man, 30 days, man. That's yeah. Yeah, she deserved to get in trouble.
Yeah, no, and not only
Wait,
that.
did she get in trouble though?
Dude, no, she was found not guilty.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and not only did she lie about, you know, the kid, like her not knowing where the kid was and all this stuff, she also told the police, yeah, the last place I saw her, I dropped her off at my nanny's house, Zenaida, blah, 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 because I don't want to say her name, but she gave a full name of a person that she said was her nanny for a long time. And it turns out this woman has never been her nanny. She just heard once in a conversation that this woman was a nanny. And eventually she added that to her lies. And then she also added the fact...
in court?
Yes. And she told the cops that she also worked at Orlando Studios. She didn't work there at the time. She used to. She's just a full-blown, like, pathological liar, dude. And watching the documentary, you can just see, like, how... like, it's like how she's faking everything. Like, it's so easy to, like, reciprocate, like, these emotions. And... like, it was really easy to tell that she was just bullshitting, dude. Like, it was crazy to me. It's like, you hear all these things, and I'm first episode in, and I'm hearing all this, and I'm like, of course she did it. Like, how does a
From her own released documentary? Or somebody else released it to expose her?
Well, they released it, but it was, like, the first one she agreed to actually, like, go on. Yeah. And
they're saying all this?
Yeah.
I gotta go check it out. It's on Netflix?
It's on Peacock.
Oh, Peacock. Okay.
But, dude, it's so...
Doesn't Kevin Hart own Peacock?
No, Peacock's MSNBC's thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Kevin Hart may play a role. I don't know. All I know is Peacock is MSNBC.
I remember him and they had the Olympics on Peacock, and they had fucking Kevin Hart and goddamn Snoop Dogg on that one.
That's why Peacock is like coming out with so much stuff right now, is because Peacock is like, MSNBC is like drowning. Like they saw that all these other streaming services are coming out, you know, Paramount Plus and blah blah blah, and so they're like, we got to do one too. So MSNBC created Peacock. And for like the beginning of when Peacock like first started, they were drowning. Like, they were not making a lot of money. And so, and I still think, I'm pretty sure, if I could be mistaken, because, you know, I don't know this 100%, but I know that they were losing a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure that's why all this new shit is getting dropped on Peacock, is because they're trying to come back and actually, like, you know, make a good amount of money from having actual good content.
Hey, we need to stop letting these people get away with blaming their childhood on fucking up their kids' childhoods.
I mean, though, it does play a role, though.
It does, but bro, I didn't have a dad. You think I'm gonna abandon my kid? Man, hell no. You a piece of shit, dude. You abandon your child.
But
bro.
wouldn't
I
you
never
say your
met my
dad
bro.
influenced?
Bro, I know his cell phone number. He know my number, bro. And he never talks to me.
But John, wouldn't you say your dad influenced that decision? Because even though it was negative, it turned into a positive because now you won't abandon your kid.
No, it depends on the individual. I think, bro, like I think it's about the individual.
That's where I'm like trying to disagree with him because he's saying these people need to stop blaming shit on their parents.
Yeah, no. They need to hold the individual accountable.
Well, yes, but it does stem from that stuff. Like, dude, me growing up, you think that I was going to become a drug addict if both of my parents would have been in a better situation? No. I ended up becoming an addict because from 1.5 years old, I got brought to a crack house and a dog ripped my fucking head apart. Like, the back of my head looks like an Etch-a-Sketch, and my ear was flapping in the wind. And all of that, like, created who I was because all of my, like, addiction problems from the past and everything all stem from that. It made me better as a person, but it also had the chance to ruin me. It also depends on, like you guys said, the person, depending on if they're willing to, like, be strong enough to come out of it on top. And so, yeah, for a long time, I was having a really tough time. But I came out on top, and I'm really lucky for that. Yeah. But either way, the parents, you know, all of that stuff, it all comes down to nature versus nurture. And what's funny is, speaking of that, we didn't even know that nurture was a thing for a long time until the 70s, actually. So for a long time, we thought psychopaths and murderers, we didn't know sociopaths existed. We only knew psychopaths did. And so the thing is we thought that they were born this way. Everybody who's murdering people or they're demented and they're doing these messed up things, we thought for the longest time until the 70s that they were born that way. But it took until the 70s, and it took a couple FBI agents to go out into the field and interview these serial killers, these murderers, over a time period during the 70s. And they went out interviewing the most famous ones in jail cells and stuff. And they ended up finding out that, no, this isn't just you weren't born this way. It was also because of how you grew up and your parents and how they raised you and the things you're around growing up. Because I'm, like, super interested in, like, the differences between psychopaths and sociopaths.
So get this, I had started dealing with a lot of trauma, you know, like I've had PTSD since I was pretty young, you know, from shit I've gone through, and then like some stuff happened really bad to my brother. Man, dude, like that made me really feel like I had something wrong with me because I didn't care for anybody else's problems. You know, I was dealing with some shit like my brother's almost dead. I got another brother in jail, been in jail for over a year. Sometimes you deal with something so tough, you can't really care for what the hell somebody else is going through. And I was upset about myself feeling that type of way for a minute, but it just, sometimes I felt like it took time to grow out of it. It took time to grow out of it, and I don't feel that same way no more. But at one point, I was really worried about, like, man, is there something wrong with me? You know? But I'm in my head like, yo, I really don't care. Why do I not care? You know?
I think there's, like, a fine line between, like a really fine line between, like, being a sociopath and then also, like, just being numb.
And this type of stuff I seen was like not haunting me, but it was like keeping me up at night.
Yeah, and so in your head, when you see other people struggling or
I'm
complaining
like,
about something, yeah, you're like, that ain't as bad as what it is.
Like, I could give a damn less what you guys say.
Exactly.
Like, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. You're not hurt.
Like, Jacob's mom was so nice to me when I was at the house, like, and loved me when I was because dude, I would do all kinds of stuff for her because, like, I know having Jacob as a kid. Jacob was the worst, bro.
Why was Jacob so bad?
Dude, Jacob, oh my God. We would be downstairs in the middle of the night. It'd be like 12, 1. His parents are sleeping. His little brother's sleeping with him because he was just a little baby. And Jacob would just be like, he'd grab a banana. He'd, like, go through the fridge because he had a fridge that was like, you walk this way, you walk through it. It kind of had that center where the fridge was. So it was like a whole wall, but, like, the kitchen was like a roundabout. You know what I'm saying? And he'd walk in, bro, and he'd straight up grab a banana, peel it, take a bite, and then just chuck it back over there. Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then he'd go open a bag of chips, grab a couple, eat them. There'd be chips all over the place. Then he'd toss that too. And then he'd grab shit, throw it in like a bowl and throw it in the microwave. He was a mess, bro. And I remember one night we got in this food fight and he was chucking food at me, man. And I never started this shit because it's like not my house. Like I don't want to piss the parents off, do something wrong. And because I already knew they didn't like me. But Jacob was just always the troublemaker, dude. He was yeeting peanut butter at me, like all kinds of shit. And I remember his mom's making us breakfast, and we're sitting there at the table, and she hands us our plates. She's like, yeah, so how'd that peanut butter get in the windowsill? And Jacob looks at her straight-faced as fuck, dude. Like, it killed me, like, because he was so serious. He's like, yeah, them dogs, man. And it just killed me. I couldn't help but laugh. I just burst out laughing because it's like, motherfucker, you knew you threw that in the window. You know that's from us. That ain't no dogs. What dogs are opening a Jif jar and putting the peanut butter in the goddamn window? None. Like, no dog is that smart.
Yeah, bro. How do you go from getting like being like fat or no being skinny to being fat? And then getting skinny, and then being fat again, and then getting skinny, and then being fat again. How does that go, bro? I've never seen somebody's weight fluctuate so much, and you're not even looking bad. And you were just skinny, and then got super fat, and then you lost a little bit of weight, and now you're looking all right. Like, how does that do that? How do you do that?
That's called drugs. So, like when I was younger, I was so fat, and then when I first got skinny, it actually wasn't because of drugs in the very beginning. It was like I finally got a job. You know, I lived in the middle of nowhere for forever, so all I did was sit on my ass eating and watching shit, living in the middle of the woods. So when I finally got a job, I was finally active for like the first time I'm in my life ever. And I sat there like, oh, you know, I'm working with my dad and all these men. I got to be a man. Like, so like fucking every little thing I was on it, dude. Like if I'm hauling something in, I'm not asking for help. Like even if I'm like literally dying, I'm like, no, I'm doing it myself. Like, and so I sat there powering through that. And I think that helped a lot, especially. But then I did start getting into drugs, but I was already skinny at that point. And then I got even more skinny. I got like ghostly skinny. And then I stopped doing drugs. I got sober. And then I went from one addiction to the other. I went from drugs to food. And I started eating hella, dude. DoorDash became a thing and it was over. And I fucking went.
I know your little DoorDash scheme.
Dude, I went right back to being like 300 pounds. And then I remember being like, oh, like everything's great now. Let me do it real quick and just like, you know, reminisce. And I did like an eighth of one, and then boom, I was just right back to it. I wasn't able to eat because I would like eat and then I'd throw it up, and then so I would just drink water throughout the day, and then my stomach would be so empty, all it would be full of was water, and then you'd feel that water slosh around, and so then you'd be puking up that water too. So all day you're puking up anything you eat, anything you drink. And so you're constantly dehydrated, constantly empty stomach, but you don't even feel it because you're on those. So it's like, I'm feeling great. Like, even though I know that I'm just puking 24/7.
Yeah, I heard he was out here acting like Achilles. I don't know what's up with this chair, bro.
Are you good?
It started squeaking. Like
we got to oil it.
Yeah, we got to oil that bitch.
Yeah, we should get some WD-40, man.
He's like, yeah, I keep that WD-40 on me. And he pulls it out the sock.
Bro, not in my socks, but in socks, yeah. Not in the socks.
Not in my socks, but in socks. Like other people's socks.
Yeah, not other people. Like, actually, I do keep stuff in my girl's socks because she always be leaving them.
I keep stuff in my girl's socks. She goes to put a pair on. She's like, what the fuck is this? So anyways, my boy, my co-host, John Doe's got something he wants to talk about. So let's get into that. You were talking about Graham Hancock. What about Graham Hancock?
Yes, sir. So Graham Hancock, man, he's one of the first people to start breaking it to us about the little people living on these islands. You know.
On what islands?
Well, now they've just recently discovered that they were in Hawaii. Short people that are mini people like hobbits and shit. Real deal humanoids walking the planet same as humans. You don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about then. So, he also has now got a Netflix show where he is literally contradicting almost damn near all history. And
Graham Hancock, right?
yes,
Okay.
Graham Hancock. The show is called Ancient Apocalypse.
So before you continue, just real quick, so Graham Hancock discovered these people, is what you're saying, right?
No.
Okay,
He's
okay.
breaking it to the media because these discoveries have been around.
Oh, so these people have like
Yeah,
already
they-
been around. They've already been
yeah,
discovered.
yeah.
They just haven't been talked about.
Nobody wants to talk
and
about
so
them.
he's bringing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to.
They
get
want
a
you. They want
clear
y'all
image
to
of
like.
what you're saying.
A lot of these archaeologists and people who instruct history, they don't want you to rewrite what the fuck they believe. They think you're insulting you, and they're insulting you. So get this. Tell me why there is serpents in Ohio.
Okay.
Up in the sky. They've got these serpents who are mounds built in like it's a giant fucking serpent, bro.
Stop.
In Ohio.
Stop.
And it's dated back to like 600 BC. But who the you know what I'm saying?
John.
They say
this-
that there's only been humans
This is something
in North America.
This is something we really need to talk about.
They
So,
said that there's only been humans
talking
in North
about how you
America
wanted to bring this
since, what, the
subject.
ice bridge? That would, you know what I'm saying?
you wanted to bring this subject, right?
How
You
can they
need
do
to
something
explain
like that?
it further. What the fuck are serpents? What the fuck are mounds?
It's
You
a
didn't
serp-
even
dude,
hold on. You
I
didn't
can
even
show you right here.
explain what you were first talking about. You were like, "Yeah, Grandma Hancock, he's trying to bring this shit to fruition." And then these serpents. And then, so it's like, hold up, take a bead real quick. Explain to me this whole Graham Hancock thing first before you get into serpents. Like you gotta play like I'm really dumb because right now, I am. I don't know any about what you're talking about. I don't know what serpents or mounds or any of that.
Look at this, dude.
Oh, what about that?
Wait,
Bro.
hold up. Let
You're
me see
telling me the
photo.
midgets made those?
No, this is in Ohio, bro.
So how does
Oh.
this translate from
Yeah.
the little people?
Dude, and they're
Yeah.
saying this is like before Christ.
No, hold on. We're still gonna wait.
How does this translate from the little people
Yeah,
and
how does
Graham
this go
Hancock?
from the little? Yeah.
Cause look, you know what the data is? This says right here. It says 1000 AD.
Show me
Yes,
the fucking
because
connection between
Because
little
somebody's
people
already redated it,
and
and
snakes
they
and
don't wanna
mounds.
acknowledge
God damn it.
that this stuff was dated way before they had the dating tools they have now.
The dating.
It's been redated.
What, like Tinder?
No, dating tools like
So John. Okay.
the six.
Okay.
That's not. That's something that he's broken. He's talked about, and there's broken it to the. He's broken it to the media. So if you look at
The
the
little
shit,
people or the snakes and mountains, like.
all of it, he's got a show where he's talking about
Oh,
this.
so what's the connection?
on his
What's
show.
the connection between the
What's-
little people and the snakes and mounds? God damn it!
None.
Are the little
Nothing.
people making the snakes
Oh.
and mounds?
Nothing but the.
So
person
what's the point in
about
talking
it.
about the snakes and mounds?
Because they're
Nah.
both on the same show.
This dope? Yeah.
Okay.
They're on the same
So you
show,
gotta
dude.
talk about that. You gotta be like,
Yeah.
hey, Graham Hancock, he's got this show.
Yes, I
he's talking about
did.
little people. I love that you talk about all this stuff and you're so opinionated on it. That's the best part about you. But you need to like explain it a little better. Like that's all. So that way people understand what you're talking about. And cuz like for real, I got really confused. Like it went from there's all these little people and Graham Hancock's exposing them. And then serpents and mounds, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, he's exposing the serpents and mounds, man.
So the people that have these snakes and mounds don't want him to come in
Yeah,
because
to contradict what they personally believe.
so what did these people who are making these snakes and mounds personally believe?
That it was made in 1000 AD. But the thing that they
Even
didn't
though those
realize is
snakes
that
and mounds
they
are
were
made by
they were
normal
testing,
people.
Parts of it that had already been rebuilt like a while ago.
What, the mounds? The mounds?
Yeah.
Like the snakes and mounds themselves.
People had
right?
already rebuilt some portions of it that had been decayed and abandoned around 1000 AD.
Let me clarify this for those that are watching. So snakes and mounds are made by obviously not the little people you're talking about, but the snakes and mounds are created by a certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And this Graham Hancock guy is trying to come in and document it and talk about it. But those people that created those are worried that he's not going to truly show how they believe and how they feel and why those are there.
They call it like the something ancient group.
No, I mean, it's interesting though, because I mean, think about it. There's a lot of examples like throughout history and life where, you know, people back then did things like that, where they sat there and created these structures. You know, snakes and mounds is a little bit different because it's dirt, but it's kind of, in all reality, even though it's not as complex, it's kind of the same thing as building a pyramid, because you're building this thing that's going to become, you know, known to mankind.
I got a question.
And then
part
when
of
you
that.
make these snakes and mounds, yeah, it's not a pyramid where you're using bricks, and it's kind of like super questionable about how you built it, but it's still a big enough thing to where it's like, okay, these people went out of their way to shovel dirt and then create these mounds to where they look
Made
like
from
snakes.
stone, but yeah. Think
Stone?
of this.
Well,
So,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
get this.
expand on it to
those
explain it better, man.
those part
You're
of that.
giving me
part
a
of that,
half-ass story.
Get this. So part of that serpent is each bend in that serpent, during certain parts of the year, sunlight will beam right on those spots, and like one of those spots is Easter. What the fuck they know about Easter? You know what I mean? I thought Easter was like a Christian holiday, as far as I've known. So I mean, like, think about it. What the hell do they know about goddamn Easter?
Well, that's what's super interesting
Before
too,
Christ?
is like the difference between Easter, Christianity's Easter, and like Easter Island and like Pacific Islanders and their, you know, like people that have like tribes that have grown up doing those kind of things separated from the world. I mean, dude, that's a completely different. It's a completely different thing. Just because
what's so special about that day? I thought it was just part of that religion. You know?
just because it has the same name Easter doesn't mean it has anything to do with Christianity. And I get where the confusion is, but yeah, no, Easter Island has nothing to do with Easter Bunny. Like, you know,
I
what I'm
never
saying?
thought that either. But I'm just like thinking about like what's so special about Easter?
Sunday is when Jesus rose, right? You're a Christian. You should know this better than I
Well,
do.
listen to
Easter
this. Listen
Sunday
to
is
this.
when Jesus rose, right? Like, because remember, he ended up getting, like, murdered and thrown in a cave and some shit, and Easter was when he came back.
Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. It marks the resurrection of Jesus,
Boom.
3 days after his death by crucifixion.
Thank you. Guess who was right, and I'm not even Christian. No matter what you want to say, there's some truth to the Bible. There's some truth. Sodom and Gomorrah did exist. Those places existed. Whether they were called that or not, I don't know. But I know they existed, and it's all references to things in history, right? And so like for a fact, we do know that some of that is true. So this is where the question lies. That's the interesting question, is if there's some truth to Christianity and all these other religions, think about pagans like Trojans who believed in, you know, Greek gods and Zeus and all that, and then also believing in other pagans like Vikings who believed in, you know, fucking Hel and Loki and Thor and the Allfather Odin himself. If there's some truth to Christianity, it's super interesting to think about what is true about those other religions. Is there some truth to maybe even Greek gods? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there some truth to every fucking religion? Because in all reality, religion is fairy tales and myths. And if there's some truth to one, wouldn't there be some truth to all of them? Think about, like, it's just an open-minded discussion. Obviously, you don't have to actually believe in it, but isn't it interesting to think about, okay, if Sodom and Gomorrah existed, what if giants existed? Like, what if somebody did exist that controlled the sea? Like, somebody who's like Poseidon, or somebody who, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like little thing. It's just really interesting to think about. That's all I'm trying to say, really. Like, I'm interested to hear your opinion on it.
I've mentioned this before. My personal opinion, and the reason what I want, my goal for religion is to for people to realize that there may be a possibility that all religions correspond us to leading to one's place. Maybe we all go to a heaven that maybe, you know, think about this. Maybe Jesus Christ is just a prophet, maybe and you know, like people like
No, yeah.
you know, maybe Muhammad was just a prophet, or Allah, you know, maybe Allah is just a prophet, or maybe Allah is God, who knows? But I think, you know, I think that all religions kind of have the same base to, like, you know, you want to treat everybody well. You think that everybody should be, you know, not really always have to be peaceful. Sometimes you don't have to be merciful. Sometimes you don't have to show nobody no fucking mercy. But you know, sometimes the more you do, the better you are. You know? And I think that's the goal about all religions.
Anyways, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Really appreciate everybody watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. It really means a lot to us. Like I said, we got that upcoming giveaway coming out here soon. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the last video. Also, shout out to Roxy Secondhand. You guys definitely got to come by. I mean, shit, I still shop here. There's all kinds of nice stuff. Refurbished furniture. There's old time toys, like stuff that you will not find anywhere else, for real. Like, I definitely wouldn't talk about it if I wasn't shopping here. So definitely stop by Roxy Secondhand if you got anything you're trying to find, trying to buy for the special lady, special boy, special whatever. Yeah, stop by. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.